guys, so today I'm going to do book hangovers. So these are all the books that gave me hangovers. And by hangover, I mean you cannot get out of the world. Sometimes you need to take a day or two. Like you can't even read anything afterwards. You try and read, but all you're thinking about was the last previous book. Or something happened in them, like for me, if something happened in them that I wish I could change, like before I've read the next in the series or something, and you're just like, I need to rewrite this in my head. That is a book hangover. And there are a lot of books that gave me book hangovers, so there are a lot of good books in the world, but these are the ones that gave me like the extreme, I woke up the next day hangover. So I'm going to start with my number one, not my number one, but I'm going to start with the first book that ever really gave me book. I mean, other than like in third grade holes, like I remember thinking like, how can I like meet that kid? But other than that, my very first book, Hangover, thank you very much to my sophomore teacher who made us read The Great Gatsby, okay? I don't know how you get a book hangover from this, but all I wanted to do was go to these parties afterwards. And it was really good. I was like 15 and I was living in this romantic, beautiful world. And thank you, F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. This was the first book that gave me a book hangover. It is good. It is a classic. There's a reason for it. Everybody wants to go to one of these parties. Everybody. Everybody wants to meet him and say, she's not good enough for you, Gatsby. But yeah, thank you for writing this one. It is a really good book hangover. My next one is definitely, I wouldn't say Pride and Prejudice gave me a book hangover, but it gave me, I mean, it did. Like, I wanted to read everything. After I read Pride and Prejudice, it was my first, well actually my first was Emma. But after I read Pride and Prejudice, I was like, I have to read everything this author has ever written. And it's a good one. And you kind of live in this world and you like, you get obsessed. Like for people who are Austen fans, you kind of get obsessed with it and you want to watch everything that's about Austen or read any fan fiction. And that's how you know it's a good hangover too, is if you're like, you need to go so far to the extreme that you need to read fan fiction. So, and some of the fan fiction that's published is really good about Austen. So yeah, thank you, Jane Austen. Another one that I read when I was younger. And I was like, how do I get to this world? How do I exist in it? And how do I live in it for like ever? And that, oh, I need a wand for this one. Let's get this one. It's Luna's wand. So the next book is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I loved the first few Harry Potters and I was addicted to this series, I'm not gonna lie. But when I read this one, I was in love with the series. There was no going back then. I was gonna be a non-muggle, I was gonna become a wizard and a witch, and I was gonna move to Hogwarts. There was no going back after this book. This book got so good. It just took it to a whole nother level of obsession and wanting to win a Triwizard Cup, okay? So, this one is really good, and you wanna live in this world. Everybody does. Everybody goes to Universal. Fans do. This one is easy. It's so easy to live in this world. So definitely recommend. I'll save that one for last. The next book is The Shanghai Girls by Lisa C. This book, look how short it is. You live like an entire lifetime of two women. Like you come up out of this and you're like, I have just read an epic novel that's like 1,000 pages and it's all shoved into like, I don't know, a short book. This is 300 pages. Well, that's not that short, but it seems like a short little novel, right? You go through a whole thing with this. This definitely gave me a different type of hangover, like not where I wanted to go live in this world, but I just thought about these people a lot in their lives and what happened in their lives. Still to this day, this is one of the most memorable books in my mind. I really, really love this. So yeah, The Shanghai Girls by Lisa C. Book hangover number 4. Then some of them, the next one this is all because of my mother, is The Hunger Games. My mother gave me this book over her summer and she's like, read it. I'm teaching it in class. My kids are gonna love it next year. Number 1, Catching Fire was not out. It was not released yet, and neither was The Mockingjay. So when you just get this one book, you're like, what the F? you have to read this as a series. You can't get that. Like, they should have put it out as a series. Me and my mom had to go to breakfast the next day. I read this straight through, and we had to discuss who she should be with. And I was a Peeta fan. I loved Peeta. So this is definitely a book hangover, especially at the timing of when I read this. It's a devastating book. You want to think about it. You want to know what happens. I mean, lucky for all of you who have not read it. I mean, I don't know where you live that you haven't read this, but, and you got to read it as a trilogy. I had to wait like months and months. I think I waited like 8 months or something for Catching Fire to come out. So yeah, so excited. Love this book. Really great hangover. You will definitely need to go into the next books. The next one is a nonfiction. Whew. It is called, sorry, my book got something strapped to it, but this is Lone Survivor by Marcus Luttrell and who's the other author with him? Patrick Robinson. You want to become a Navy SEAL after you read this book. It is so well written. Out of all like the Navy SEAL nonfictions I've read, this one is so well written and it's so convincing. Like, let's just go and join up. And never in my life had I had that feeling before. I mean, I definitely had a feeling to be like whether or not I decided to join up or not, but this one is so well written, and for young adults, I think, because I read this when I was in college, but for young adults, I think this can be very life-changing in perspectives and how to put things in order. So this one is really good. If you've only seen the movie, trust me, go and read the book. This one is a really good hangover. You will think you're going to become a Navy SEAL after it or something. I don't know, but it's really good. Tinker, knock it off! Dogs are so annoying. Let's do this one. Okay, so Pam Jenoff, the Kommandant's Girl. Number one, given this by my mother again. Thank you, Mom. And I held on to these for probably a year. She gave me 2 of the books. And when I read it, I was like, I'm going to read everything this author has ever written because it was that good. You shouldn't like a Commandant, right? It's a Nazi World War II thing. You should not like it, but she makes you kind of have sympathize with him a little bit. And, whew, yeah, it's good. So yeah, this is the Commandant Girls by Pam Jenoff. It is a one-sit read. Like, you cannot put this down. You will have to read it all. She's an amazing author. Some of her other books have given me bigger hangovers. Especially there's one where she did a 3-part series, and that one just pissed me off. The end of that series, I'm sorry, Pam Jenoff, but that one pissed me off. But this one is a Kickstarter, like, into her novels. It's the first hangover I got from her novels, so that's why I chose this one, but it is really, really good. She's a really good writer. I think she's a law school teacher, I believe. But yeah, this is a really, really good book. And same with those historical novel writings. I mean, obviously, one of the number 1 women in the world at it is Philippa Gregory, the other Boleyn girl. I tried to pick one of her other ones because a lot of hers give you hangovers about things that happen in history, right? I took Tudor Stuart history in college, and it wasn't that, I mean, enthralled with it. It wasn't a period of time. I mean, I was way more into the medieval, but reading her books, you want to go back and just scream at these people. You live in these books for a little, like a good day or more afterwards. You want to like go back and be like, what were you thinking? Why did you chop people's heads off? This is definitely her most famous book, so that's why I picked it, but it's just, I mean, Henry VIII really does well at pissing you off in this book. So I'd highly recommend this, The Other Boleyn Girl. This is another one. This is deep. I mean, this one is thick. So this is like the Shanghai Girls, though. This is like a 700-page book. There's a lot of information in it, and it's a lot to take in. And so you have to, I mean, it takes you a while to filter through all this stuff to get out of your hangover. So this one is really good also. This is another book, Juliette. I've never read any other thing by Anne Fortier, but Juliette, this was a really good book. This is one of the most memorable books in my mind. Once again, like some books I really like and I read and I'm like, that was amazing. And like a few years later, I can't remember them, but I can remember like every detail that happened in this book. This is a book about Juliette, and it's modern, but it goes back in history and connects to the original Romeo and Juliet, and it brings it all the way up to the present. It is so well done and so well researched, and I mean, if it's all true, it's really good. Trust me on this one. If you are a romantic, you've heard of Romeo and Juliet, you will like this book. Even if you didn't like the original Romeo and Juliet and they made you read it in school, I guarantee you'll like this book. And it'll be due to give you a really good hangover, and you'll have to like go out and find all the other Juliet books there are. Like, you know, like if you're stuck with Peter Pan and you find all the fangirl stuff, this is another one. It will lead you into fangirldom, and you will want to read more about Romeo and Juliet. This one is so good. One of my favorite books I've ever read. Really, really good. And the last one, if you guys want to know the last one, if you haven't been watching any of my videos lately, then you wouldn't know. But if you have, you know it's going to be Outlander. This is one of those shocking books you come across, and once again, you just, like, number one, you want to go buy the book if you rented it, and number two, you want to buy the entire series. Like, you don't even care if they get bad. You have to go and finish these. These are so addicting. They leave on cliffhangers. There's so much in them. They're definitely different from most anything I've ever read, which drags you into them. They are so well done. So I'm on Voyager right now, and this one I really need to return to the library, but this one was really good too. This is Dragonfly and Amber. Let's start with Outlander. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, so if you like that, those are my top 10 books. I mean, there's plenty of books in the world I haven't read, so if there are better books for hangovers, please tell me them, because these ones definitely all gave me hangovers. Please subscribe below. I will link Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter, and thanks for watching, everyone. Bye!